So welcome to the making video. Here we'll be processing all the different pieces that we marked out in the marking out video. You just need your standard tools, tenon saw, range of chisels, mallet. In this video we're also using a coping saw to cut some curves. So safety is always keep your thumb out of the way of the cutting edge of the saw and use the full length of the saw. Cutting the triangular pieces here for holding the photographs. These are small and quite awkward to cut, so take your time and clamp them onto the bench if you need to. So there are 8 of those in total to cut out. I made clamp these onto the bench. I found it difficult to get some purchase on the saw. Whatever way makes it easiest for yourself. So here I am clamping the pieces down onto the bench hook. This certainly worked out to be a lot easier. We often try many different ways to cut things and chisel things out. So it's certainly a lot easier. Always good to clean as you go as well. Makes it much easier to work on the next piece. Those 8 triangles will be used as backing for the actual photographs themselves. So moving on to using a coping saw now. If you have an electric scroll saw available or a band saw, it's certainly a lot easier than using a coping saw. You can see I've got the blade and the coping saw facing 90 degrees to the handle and the frame, and coping saw is only cut on the way back, so not too much pressure required on the forward stroke. Again, this is so much easier with a bandsaw if you have access to one. Just take your time if you're using the scroll saw. If you don't have either, you can just put off some angles or some splays that match each other on the top. That project would we like to see people take the kits and modify them to suit their own needs, or if they feel they can design it a little bit better to suit their own needs. Definitely encourage that. So just saw it into the halfway point there, and we'll use an ordinary table saw just to cut off the top remaining piece. So we'll use the piece that comes off then to mark out a mirror image of the curve on the other side of the timber, and we can coping saw that off as well. So the coping saw gives you quite a rough finish. That'll require a lot of sanding. You need to wrap sandpaper around a piece of dowel or a pencil and just sand it off to a nice smooth finish. Move on then to the joints on the frame itself. These are all finger joints. You're just removing cheeks and shoulders to make tenons and chiseling out matching mortises as well. Just removing the waste here from the end at the top and bottom that do not have any joints. So being careful here to saw on the X side of the line, never saw on the line, your joint will be too wide. So holding the piece here vertically against the bench shoe, you could hold this in the vise itself, would be even easier to saw off the shoulder. So got a bit of break out there, didn't pull back the saw enough times. That's something I'll sand it out later on. Very rare you'll go through a full woodwork project without getting some break off of splinters or maybe a joint being a little bit loose, something like that, but we can fix everything. It's the beauty of wood, we can fill gaps or we can break off a little bit extra. Just removing the waste here again. There's your tenon. There are a number of those in the project. So you'll be repeating that on many different pieces. Maybe an issue here with my saw getting a little bit blunt. I've made 6 or 7 projects with it now at this stage, and it may need a little bit of sharpening and maybe get the teeth reset on it. So the top piece just has one tenon on it, and the first left hand side will be the top left hand piece has both tenon and mortise taken out as well. And be careful just to stay inside the line. I think I cut a little bit off one of the lines, which will give some trouble later on. So you have to take your time doing these things. Quite an easy project, just a lot of repetition. There's 4 separate joints involved. So that's your middle rail there. Top rail has 1 tenon, the middle rail has 2 tenons, and the bottom rail has 1 tenon to the right. All the vertical pieces have female joints. If you're watching this video in 2022 onwards, you can see a link below on the bottom right to Patreon. The link is in the description box. So Patreon members get all Project Wood projects a year in advance of everybody else. So videos will be released after 1 year of availability to Patreon members. So if you go to Patreon and look up Project Wood or click on the link in the description, you can see details of how to join. There's a few different tier levels, starting off with the Oak level, which gives you access to all the videos of the projects being made. Plus you get a cutting list as well. If you can't buy the kit from us on eBay, in the link below, you can simply use the cutting list given with your Patreon membership. There will also be another tier coming to Patreon soon, where I'll be taking visits to craftsmen around various parts of the country and abroad, and those will be exclusive to Patreon members also for a year before we release them out to the general public. Just chiseling away the female parts here now. The left vertical rail and the right vertical rail both have female joints at both ends. Simply cut down inside the waistline, chisel away as shown here. Again, at no stage are we really hitting the mallet very hard. Nice sharp chisels, 2 or 3 taps maximum all the time. Try to rush taking out female parts of joints in particular. There's a severe risk of splitting the wood down the middle. And there's no rush anyway, you want to enjoy the whole process. That's the female joint, just needs a little bit of cleaning out on the bottom of the trench. So you can see there's 4 of those in total to do. So you can see in the thumbnail for the video, this photo frame holds 2 nice size photographs. You can always make more separate ones, or simply buy 2 kits or cut out more parts and turn it into 3, 4, 5, 6 picture holders. It's the same joint that's running all the way down. With holding just 2 pictures, this picture frame can be mounted to the wall using kind of white tack or command strips. Any more than 2, you would need to probably put a nail in the wall and hang it on that. Just removing 3 or 4 millimeters at a time, nice and gentle. We're working with a soft wood here. This is a red deal that I normally use for prototypes. So it just needs to be vertically paired, nice sharp chisel, and just pare down vertically to clean off the bottom of the trench. So the joints get made quite quickly. A lot of repetition. Ideally, you would take out all the female joints in one go and all the male joints in one go. Helps keep you focused and is a more productive way to work as well. So you generally find with softwoods, when you remove the material for the female joints, that the bottom of the trenches get a little bit pitted. This is normal, especially for pine. And when you go to glue up the joints, this will fill in with a bit of glue. And actually will help you get a much stronger mechanical bond. So now we're going to look at fixing the top decorative piece to the top rail. So we have a tight fit there on that joint. All joints will require a little bit of fettling or fitting out. You may need to remove some material from the cheeks on the male or from the sides of the female. This joint actually came out quite loose for me, possibly due to sawing too close to the lines on the female, so that may require a lot of glue or a screw even indeed later on to get it to hold nice and square. So you may cut a joint loose, or you could leave timber in a room overnight and it actually shrinks due to heating in the house or whatever. So on many occasions you'll have to adjust your operation to kind of make things work for yourself. But mistakes are fine. Wood is so inclined that we can fix anything with it really. Just cleaning off the shoulders here. So we number all the joints and just make sure that we're always trying to fit number 1 to number 1, number 2 to number 2. Again, just some vertical pairing here. So you really want to take up the tiniest of slivers of material. Taking off too little is never a problem. Just take your time fitting each corner. Again, looking for matching numbers here. Quite a bit having to come off the cheek on this one. And that's a nice proper fit there. You can see that one's a little bit loose, but a little bit of glue probably sort that out. And then just continue to fit all the rest of the joints. So just cut the waste off the decorative top piece. This will be joined with screws onto the top rail. Could glue it on, but this may actually be a point where you wish to attach a bit of chain or some nice gold rope to hang the frame on the wall. So in that case, we don't want to leave it to just the glue. We want to have some good mechanical fixing on the wall. So you can see there's a lot of filing to be done on that piece as well. So take a rasp or a file, hold it nice and flat and go round off top edge and the sides. And then using some sandpaper, wrap around a pencil or a dowel, whichever you have, and get a nice smooth finish. There's a separate video in the playlist showing you how to sand properly. That could take 10-15 minutes to get that nice and smooth. But either way, it will still require some nice sanding to get it looking perfect. So you take something like a 120 sandpaper, wrap it around a pencil, and just spend some time getting that sanded off nice and smooth. So we use the flat side of the file for convex curves, and then if you have a half round file, you can turn it upside down, just stick it into the inside curves. Again, just using your sandpaper to blend it all in and to pick up the rings on the end of the wood. So attaching the decorative top now to the top rail, we just line it up, mark its position with a pencil and drill a couple of pilot holes. Try trying to get the screws nice and centered. So divide it into 3 and use 2 screws. So 1 centimeter across from the back, just to mark the middle. Join those up with a line and divide that line into 3 equal parts. Battery would be useful there. So everything going really well. The only big flaw so far was 1 or 2 of the joints being a little bit loose. Again, a little bit more time taken on the sawing there would have solved that problem. So we'll get this decorative back put on and then have a look at strengthening up the loose joints. So that fits nicely together now. Just to look at tightening up some of the looser corners. We'll also be gluing in the triangle pieces. You'll see in the thumbnail that the photographs can attach straight onto this using white Pritt pads or spray mount, whichever you like. And they'll also add to the rigidity of the frame, give a bit of strength into the 90-degree bends. So here we have one of those rather loose joints. Going to be holding some valuable family pictures, so I'm just not going to leave it to glue alone. Going to drill a small pilot hole into the male here and put a nice narrow screw down into the joint. So drill that through with a 1.5 millimeter pilot hole bit and some nice tin screws then, maybe 3 by 40 or 3.5 by 40s. So with the location of the male joints, I was slightly thinking ahead on this one. When the photo frame is on the wall, all the male joints are horizontal, so if you do have to put in a screw or 2 to strengthen things up, they won't be visible at all. We'll drill the little bit deeper there to make a countersink to hide the screw. So you put a bit of glue into that joint and clamp it up and put your screw into it. You want the screw nice and flush so you can't see it when it's on display. So lots of sanding to be done then to get it nice and clean. As I said, there's a separate sanding video out in the playlist for people to have a look at if they're not sure about sanding techniques. And a nice coat of varnish then to finish it off. Or if you wish, it's an ideal project for wood stains.